And that leads to another thing, which is that when it comes to understanding the evidences and studying the deen, it's also important that we make sure that we're staying with the works of the ulama, the scholars, and we're progressing alongside them or along with their curriculum or their works. So for example, if we're studying something, we study the works of the scholars, then we go to another group of scholars, and you just keep going like this. You don't want to be studying any issue independent of the scholars, and you don't want us to understand any issue without the scholars there. Because it's not about Quran and Sunnah only, it's about the understanding. And this is what with most of the people today, they keep forgetting. No one is differing in Quran and Sunnah except for the fringe. And the Quran is what come and say, no Quran, no Sunnah. We say, yeah, that guy's out to lunch, right? He's out of here. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the people who most people agree with Quran and Sunnah. Where is it differing? How we're understanding this. So one of the rules, any issue you study, you have to have an imam. Somebody who preceded you to that opinion and that statement you hold. So not allowed to take an ayah or a hadith and derive a benefit, no one preceded you in it. First of all, is it possible? Right? So someone to read the Quran and hadith, they come with an opinion no one ever said before. It's possible he can produce maybe some kind of istinbat, some kind of derivative on maybe tafsir or something like this. Or you do tadabbur, you might find a benefit. But in talking about fiqh or basic rulings, you're not going to precede the imams before us. You're not. In fact, if you find you're the only one who said it, probably means it's not right. Right? And this is one of the problems we have today, that people, when they read the Quran and Sunnah, where's the biggest problem? They don't read the commentaries of the scholars on those same ayat and hadith. And that's the benefit I want to talk about as well, understanding that every ayah, every hadith, there's somebody who explained it from the imams. You must return back to their explanations. You're not allowed to explain a hadith by yourself. You can't understand the ayah by yourself. And this is one of the problems you find. People, they do because they take the zahir nas, the apparent feature of the text, forgetting that there's another text that you don't know about, which can change the meaning of that text. So scholars, they say then, when it comes to the books of hadith, for every book of hadith, there's a commentary that's reliable. For every, of course, the Quran, there are many tafasir, exegesis. For the books of language, so every knowledge is a set of books. But we'll talk about hadith, for example, because it tends to be where a lot of the confusion sometimes comes. When you study the hadith, you study like books like 40 hadith al-Nawawi, you know, the like books like Bulugh al-Maram or Umdatul Ahkam, all these books of hadith, Riyadh al-Salihin, each book has a commentary. You have to return to those commentaries to figure out what the scholars are saying. Because you may read a hadith and derive something from it and no one preceded to it. So you want to check, is that correct understanding of the hadith or not? But sometimes we understand the hadith one way and we figure out actually there's a different way of understanding it. So always we make sure that we don't have an issue we studied and there's no imam who said that thing that we derived. That's when we said before, whenever you're writing the knowledge, it's what is the issue, what is the evidence, how did they reach it, and who said it? Who said it? Yes, because we're not going to take me and you as imams, right? We're not imams. So if I said this is what I read in hadith, it doesn't matter. I could have misread it. So always you have to have an imam. And somebody could bring you an ayah or hadith, and it's not evidence. Because not every ayah hadith can be used as istishhad, for the evidence, to use as evidence. And this is the mistake you find some people open the hadith and say this hadith. You think every hadith is taken this way? Just on a zahir nas, there's no second hadith, third hadith, could be da'if hadith. You don't know all these things. So one of the problems we have is this. Some people in the beginning, they're benefiting from something. Sometimes you think you understood something. This is good. Go and check. Who said it before you? إياكم, Ahmed said, إياكم. Beware of speaking. تتكلم في مسألة ليس لك فيها إمام. Beware of speaking about an issue you have no imam who preceded you in it.